Have you ever wondered how your shoes are made? Well, today we're in the heart of England in Northampton at Churches, and today we're going to discover the art of the loafer.
Currently downstairs in the leather store, which is also known as the skin room, and this is the area where, as you can see, they store all of the leather, and they also do a very important job, which is they check the quality of the leather here to see if there are any discrepancies before it goes to the clicker room, which is where they actually cut the patterns that form the upper. So we're going to move along to that section now and look to see how that process is undertaken. Welcome to the clicker room, where they are currently cutting or pressing the pattern behind me, which if you come over and take a look, you'll see on the side here we have the knives that are all set out, which will actually construct the vamp, which we put together up here, which is known as the upper. So as you can see, we've got the leather which is being placed and utilised to its maximum capacity. So we're going for minimum wastage here, but also ensuring that we're focusing on the areas of that leather that are the best quality. So particularly around the butt area, there's a lot of use, should we say, and then as we come up towards the neck area, then there's less use on the main areas of the shoe. So if we quickly come in, I'm not going to remember off the top of my head all of the knives, but on here we have the not apron, is it? What's it called? The mud guard. So we have the mud guard, which is essentially around the outside of the shoe. On top of that we have the apron, we've got the quarters that sit on the outside, and then we've got the counters that are basically the heel. And so these will construct and be stitched together, and then the uppers will be formed up here, sewed together before we move downstairs, where we'll do the shoemaking section of today's video. We've been in the leather store, we've moved across to the clicking room, we're now in the closing room. So this is the section where they grab the apron and the mud guard and they essentially glue them together to get them in position, and then they move across to this beautiful machine which is called the Modelo machine, and this is an incredibly old machine that's been running for years, and they'll actually stitch the shoe together using this machine, and they'll run it through this section and they'll work through, I think we've got a clip that we can overlay, and then that will then get the shoe into a position where they call the vamp, and then that will be moving on to its next process of its shoemaking journey. closing room. And this area is actually where they close the vamp. So any little details, such as saddles that need to be attached to the top, this will all be done in this room. There's hand sewing, machine sewing, and I guess it's quite an intricate part of the process, but it gets the shoe prepped, ready for the next stage, which is where we're just about to head to now. Well, I hope that you can hear me okay. We've currently come downstairs to what essentially is the finishing section. So we're currently standing in front of the assembly section, which is where they grab and assemble all of the components before we move across to the last and making room, which is essentially the final section of the shoemaking process. There's an incredible amount of work that goes into this process, and I guess to summarise how this factory operates, on the top floor we have the preparation, which is where we create the vamp and get the shoe ready to then be assembled and finished downstairs, which is where every single church's shoe that you find goes through this factory. So it's incredible to be down here and to witness and experience everything that's going on. It's a finely tuned operation, everybody knows what they're doing, but it's also situated in a really nicely open planned environment, so it doesn't feel cramped. It's very clean in here, very tidy and organised. But because it is very loud, I'm not going to be able to go through each section with you. Plus, that is what the churches video that we're creating here today with churches is for. So we're going to run into a little bit of B-roll and show you some of the things that are going on down here. Okay, so we're just about to finish up down here, and what an incredible experience seeing how a loafer is put together. I really hadn't comprehended the amount of work that would go into one pair of shoes. However, quite an experience, and you'll be able to see the full process of how the loafer is made over on Church's YouTube channel, and of course I'll even link in my description box down below. But we have one more store in Treat. We're going to be heading to the archive, top floor here in the factory, where we're hopefully going to be seeing some of the old and new shoes that have been created right here by Churches. So let's head up and take a look. Welcome to the archive here at the Churches headquarters, I guess you would call this place. And we've just finished off filming the Pembury Loafer production process, which, as I mentioned downstairs, was quite the experience. But we've walked into an abundance of history upstairs here in the archive of Churches. We've literally got documentation, ledgers, last catalogues that date all the way back to the early 1900s. Even here we have a architect's notebook that dates back to 1904. So we are going to continue to explore the space, and I think that wraps up today's video. I hope you have enjoyed having a bit of an insight here at Churches factory. For me, it's been incredible and a real treat, so I'm very grateful for this opportunity. But as I mentioned earlier, I will be leaving the link in the description box down below, so if you want to go and see the finished article, the video that we created here today with Churches, and it will explain the whole process of how to make that loafer. So I'll leave that in the description box down below, and as always, I hope you have enjoyed this week's video, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 5 PM. Take care.